Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we're grateful for the day that you've given to each of us. We're grateful for your love to us, for your watching care over us. Thank you, Lord, for our city, a good place to live. Thank you, Lord, for providing for our city. And I pray, Lord, as we meet, help us to make wise decisions of the provisions that you've given us. For we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. I did see some members of the Beautification Committee and Garden Club come in. It's good to see y'all, so appreciate y'all coming tonight. Not seen you here before, but hopefully y'all can, thank y'all for what y'all do in our community of keeping things, looking nice and projects that you do. Really appreciate that. The first thing, order of business we're going to have is our roll call.
Town of Vidalia Board of Aldermen roll call for a regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen dated June 8th, 2021. Alderman Betts.
Present.
Alderwoman Denby.
Here.
Alderman Gardner.
Here.
Alderman Probst.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Here.
Mayor, let the record show a quorum of the boards present and accounted for.
Okay. First thing we need to do is approve our minutes of our previous meeting. If you looked over them, if I can entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept.
Motion made by Alderman Probst. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Gardner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're to the public comment on our current agenda items. This is our time that we ask the public if they have any comments on anything on our agenda, or if they have a question they'd like to just ask, or any comment. This would be a time that we will listen to any comments on our agenda items. So at this time, I'm going to ask if there's any public comments on any of the agenda items. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Donald McDaniel, I live on 1501 Peach Street. This is my wife, Alicia Parker. We were concerned about a tree in our yard that's supposed to be on a list to be cut down. That tree is about some power lines.
Okay, sir, that's not an agenda item, but I'll be glad to discuss this with you after our meeting.
Okay,
I'll be glad to look at this. Now, what street is it on?
1501 Peach Street.
Peach Street? Okay. We do have some, trees that we are looking at that now I don't know where that is. I mean, I have to go and look at it, but I'll be glad to discuss and talk as much as we need to. But that's not on the agenda. So, but I appreciate you coming. But I'll be glad to meet with you afterwards. And we have our utility department director here. We'll be glad to discuss it with you. Okay?
That's fine.
All right. Thank y'all. Anybody else? Okay. All right, well, we will close that, and we will move on to our item number 1 on our agenda, which is our financial statements. And our CPA, Ms. Deborah Moak, will do that.
Tonight's financial statements include the balance sheet as of April 30th, 2021, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the 10 months ending April 30th, 2021, a summary budget to actual comparison by fund, and a detailed budget to actual comparison by department. These financial statements have been distributed to all departments and aldermen for their review. In summary, the town has combined cash in the bank of $11 million, including restricted funds of $9.5 million in the hydro fund and $371,000 in the sales tax fund. Investments of $3.9 million for total assets of $38.6 million, total liabilities of $8.7 million for a fund balance of $29.9 million combined. The statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance for the 10 months ending April 30th, 2021 indicates combined revenues of $29 million, or 78% of the total revenue, total expenditures of $28.3 million, or 78% of the total expenditures, for a change in net position of a positive $689,000. The now positive change in net position is due to revenues are catching up with the timing of the expenditures, with 2 months left to go. The negative position has turned around and will continue to move in a positive direction over the next couple of months with the projected increase in hydro royalties. Personnel expenses are slightly higher than budget due to the retiring of several long-term city employees with built-up accrued leave. Other services and charges are lower than expected, even after having paid out expenses for the winter storm. The cost of the power the town purchases from Catalyst is lower than expected, which contributes to the lower hydro royalties. These financial statements also include capital outlay of $3.1 million of a $5.4 million budget, or 57% of the total amount budgeted. It is anticipated not all capital outlay will be spent in the fiscal year due to the change in need and due to the length of time needed to make the preparations for the expense, which will result in a carryover to fiscal year 2022. At the end of April, expenditures were at 78% of budget. These financial statements include approximately $375,000 for emergency work and debris removal during and after the winter storm. We have opened a claim with the insurance company and have submitted a request for public assistance through FEMA. The entire process will take months to complete and we will receive funding on a 25 to 75% basis. Through June the 11th, $3.2 million has been borrowed for the substation construction to cover materials, engineering costs, and legal fees incurred. The aldermen have all been notified before the draws are made so that they can be aware of where the money is being spent. All costs are recorded as a capital asset and as a liability on the balance sheet. The appraisals are complete for the right-of-ways and negotiations are pending for the acquisition of the right-of-ways. The annual budget for fiscal year 2021 has been approved and the final copy has been given to the department heads and council members. Amendments to the 2021 budget are being presented tonight and a special meeting will be held at the convenience of the board to discuss and vote on the amended budget.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Council, any questions of Ms. Moak on the budget, on the financial report? I would like to point out that our total deposits and investments are at $13,600,000. Now those are funds. A lot of those are restricted, so those aren't available to necessarily spend. That you can just go out and spend them like you want to. Those are some restricted funds dealing with hydro and some other things that. Deborah's done a fantastic job, her and her staff, in keeping us all in compliance and reports filed and everything else. So we're really blessed to be able to have her and her expertise in this, and thank you, Deborah, for that. So that takes us to our second item on our agenda, which is the introduction of an ordinance amending the operating budget of revenues and expenses for the town of Vidalia, Louisiana for the fiscal year 2020-21. This is just an introduction. There won't be any discussion. And we're amending our budget because of the different things, and this is all by state law, that with the, regardless of whether you're over budget, you take in more money or take in less, if you're over that 5%, you have to amend your budget. And we did take in monies that we weren't expected from, we hadn't got reimbursed yet, but we did have some unexpected expenditures with the ice storm and with COVID. We do have to show those, and we do have to amend our budget. So, and we've kept y'all abreast all the way along the way about this, but this is just the introduction, no discussion on that tonight. So, all right, so that's going to take us to item number 3. Before I take off on it, is there a date and time at council y'all would like a time of day and when y'all would like to do this? Which day and what time? What kind of advance notice days do we need, Jay?
Just 24 hours.
Just 24 hours. So we can have the special meeting. Won't take probably 10 minutes, shouldn't, just to get it approved. And so what's the council's pleasure?
Sooner the better.
Sooner the better?
As soon as we can get it done.
Okay. We can Thursday. And what, as far as the time with lunch, is lunch okay, or would y'all rather take you?
I'd rather not have it lunch. I'd say 8 o'clock in the morning.
8 in the morning. Does that fit everyone else?
I have a doctor's appointment in Jackson
On Thursday?
at 9:30.
Okay. What about Friday?
Anybody got a problem with early?
That's fine.
Would you rather 8? You want to do 8? Has anybody got a problem with 8 o'clock?
7:30, 6 o'clock. I don't care.
In the morning.
It messed my day up whenever it goes in the middle of the day.
Okay. All right. Well, so we'll look at 8 o'clock Friday morning. We'll do it. It shouldn't take long.
June 11th at 8 o'clock.
June 11th, 8 o'clock. Okay. All right, thank y'all. Next thing we have is board discussion vote on the approval of the occupational license. And the first one we have is Robert Gardner, and the trade name is Shirley Mays of Vidalia, and it's going to be on, 20 Alabama Street. just a matter of order here. Robert, as y'all know, is an alderman. He can discuss and debate this application, but there's statute requires for him to recuse himself from a vote on this. So, and I don't think there's going to be a problem with it, but I just wanted to do that so he won't vote to get himself in trouble with this violation. That if he does, since he's an owner of it and sitting on the council to approve it, he has to recuse himself on the vote, but he can certainly be involved in the discussion of this. So anyway, with that being said, Robert, you want to tell people about your business?
Soul Food Restaurant. So that's pretty much it. And I totally agree with you, unless it's a tie. Then I believe I am entitled if it's a tie to vote.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Any questions from the council?
I'm just curious. It's a restaurant in a neighborhood, is that correct?
It's the same. It's a previous restaurant that's already been there. It was called Henrietta's Snack Shack. And I bought the business from my aunt who previously was the owner. So it's already established. I'm just changing names.
Okay. Also, with that, you have a sign application as well. If you want to look at that, we'll do approval on both. Is there any more questions? All right, can I hear a motion?
Make a motion we accept.
Okay, motion made by Alderman Probst. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Denby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed?
Well, let the record reflect that I abstained from voting due to the fact that unanimously it was carried through.
Okay, next one we have is Big Rob Smoke Pit, and that's going to be on location be 405 Martin Luther King. Are they here tonight? Okay, so this is, are you Robert? Okay, you want to tell us about your business?
Smoke on meat, size, takeout.
Okay. All right. Any questions of Robert on Big Bob Smoke Pit?
What about your sign, Robert? You gonna apply for a sign eventually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, to hear a motion, we accept
I
this.
make that motion.
Motion made by Alderman Gardner. Hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Probst. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, sounded like it was unanimous. Next one we have is the Cocktail Expert LLC. The location will be on Charles Street, and this will basically be a online sales through websites.
That should be Eleanor.
It should be Eleanor?
Yep.
Okay, it's got Charles on the application.
But
Is it Eleanor?
it is Eleanor.
They're not here?
Are they here tonight? Are they here?
No.
Okay. I know where that's at, where you're talking
Do they
about.
need to reapply on that application?
Well, if we can just make a correction on that and approve it based on the correct address.
You
on it.
sure of that, John? I mean, you sure on, okay.
But can we, I guess, do you want to go ahead and approve it based on that change?
Is.
I hear a motion, we
You
accept it
sure,
based.
that's fine with me.
I'll make
Yep.
a motion.
Okay, motion made by Alderman Smith, I hear a second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Betts, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right. That takes us through that. Now we have on number 4, a presentation on community development block grant application. Ms. Hannah Junkin, the Town of Vidalia Marketing Director and Grant Coordinator, will tell us a little bit about the this grant application. Pardon? Yes.
Okay, the Louisiana Community Development Block Grant Program is a state program for public facilities infrastructure projects. The size of the grants are $1.2 million for sewer treatment, $1 million for new sewer collection, $1 million for existing sewer collection rehabilitation, $1 million for water, and $800,000 for streets. On July 30th, the state will release the threshold determination, and if we fall into the top 70%, we will be invited to apply in December. If invited to apply, we plan to apply for sewer rehabilitation because that project is in a low to moderate income area. The resolution that's about to come forward is an agreement to pay for administrative cost and engineering cost if we get awarded the grant only. There's also a procurement policy and a citizen participation plan that are required by the grant before we may apply. The last time Vidalia was awarded this grant was in 2010 for $423,720 for sewer rehabilitation.
Okay, give us those figures again on what you had as far as the amounts.
The amounts are 1.2 for sewer treatment, 1 million for new sewer collection, 1 million for existing sewer collection rehabilitation, 1 million for water, and 800,000 for streets.
Okay. Now, that's what's in the existing application as it is now. Now, during this time, this is the first part. I want everybody to listen real quick. This is the first part of an application. This is us getting in and getting our foot in the door to get pre-approved. And I think Bryant and them are working on this with us as well, and if they need to defer to anything, and if I'm wrong on this, please correct me. But also, once it's approved, citizens who are in these low to moderate, and they actually call them slum and blighted areas, and they have needs or wants, we are going to give those people opportunity to come and make application with the town for some of their needs, what we can do for them to help them, better their homes, better their areas, better their existing surroundings where they're at. So this is something that we're going to do, and we'll be sure that we will keep you posted, and because we want you to participate in it if you are going to fit in these mods where they're looking for that's considered low-income areas that are, and that's what it says. That's exactly how the word is read. It says slum and blighted areas, that if you need help, there will possibly be some funds there to help you, get your residents or something, have some work done on it. It didn't say elaborate on it, but it just, well, here it is. Participated by persons low and moderate income who are residents of slum and blighted areas and of areas in which funds are proposed to be used. The funds that she's talking about right now is in the Orchard. There's an immediate need for sewer lines that are basically eroded and deteriorated that we're having some bad issues with. We're asking for that on the front end, but after that's in there, what they are talking about is we're going to go through this procurement period of hearing all your discussion, all of your needs, all your wants, and we're going to put those down and put those in, to the next part of the application is my understanding of it. And if that's wrong, if somebody would certainly, I'd hope they want to correct me on that. But this is the first hearing that we had to go forward with it, and we got to have approval of the council to approve this to go forward on this block grant. So
okay, my question is, how do the people know, and how do they get in, as far as them bringing forth? There's a house on Gregory, you get a 3-inch, 4-inch rain, it across from my property, it's going to flood it out. So,
well,
it's a block house, but it's...
It says that we will have to provide citizens with reasonable and timely access to local meetings that we have to discuss this, and records relating to the state's proposed method of distribution, as required by the Secretary and relating to the actual use of funds under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of '74.
Okay, so we'll be informing the public.
Will be, just like we did this. We had this on our Facebook post. We put it out. I think we advertised this, and I think a lot of people have responded, and I think, is anybody here tonight based on this right here? You see, can I see a show of hands? Who's interested in this period? I mean, I'm just, okay, I see a hand back here. Okay, so those, did you see it on our website? I'm just asking, on our Facebook page? Oh, you just heard about it? Okay. But what we will be doing, I promise you, we will be putting this on our website. We'll be putting it on our Facebook page. We will probably even advertise in our local journal, when these discussions are going to be coming about. If you want to go ahead and make contact with me, I'm available right up here at City Hall. Just come on. Or you can either call me by phone, or you can make an appointment with me. I'll sit down and get your address. You can tell me what your needs are and what your problems are, and we'll go ahead and we'll be preemptive on it and try to get a list going and make sure that number one, they're going to check to make sure you're in that low to income. So, for example, if you're in an area that is not low to moderate income, you're wasting your time. If you need help work on your house, they're not going to approve that because they know they have that list of a day of where those areas are. So please, but we want to be preemptive on this. I'll be glad to visit with you as long as you want to take to discuss your needs and wants, and we'll go through this more after we get this first leg. This is the first step necessary to move forward with this block grant. Has anybody got any questions from
I got
council?
another question
Okay.
as far as grants. Where are we standing on grants? This is a grant that we got finally presented to us. Who's actually in charge of grant writing? Because we need to be pursuing grants.
Hannah is working on grants, and she's been working on several of them for us, yes.
We need to, I feel as though we have not produced a lot
We-
of grants lately.
well,
So we need to be
the
producing
grants that we have gotten that we have to bring to y'all for approval on, some of them are required by state, some of them are not. Some of them are gimmies that y'all don't see that might be that.
But I think we should be informed. Of any grant that we get, we should be informed of that
Okay,
grant.
I have no problem with that, but no, Hannah's working
But
on
I haven't
grants.
seen any grants.
Okay, well, there's been some grants
Been
approved.
here 5 years.
No, that's not true, Alderman Probst. We have.
Not completely, but there has not been a lot
Have
of
we
grants.
not-
So
have
we
we
need
not-
to be working on grants.
Can you
That's
not?
my statement.
Okay, all
That's
right, it's your
I
statement, but
need
we
to say.
have come to council, not just within the last few months, and got them to approve grants
Okay.
that we had to get approved for it. Just want to make that clear.
I just want to say this, I noticed the title, her title was added, the grant title was added to your title. I didn't know that either.
I didn't
just
either.
knew it was marketing director, I didn't
Well,
know.
That's all I knew.
Well, that's just, she's been doing some, she's been.
And I appreciate you because
She's
every time
been
I...
doing-
If
she's
you're
been
working
doing-
on it, that's
Hold on,
great.
hold
I
on,
mean,
you
but
guys.
I didn't know you were working on
I'm
grants.
sorry, I'm talking,
I knew
I'm
you were
sorry.
marketing, but had no idea you were working on grants because we've seen no grants. And that, believe me, there's a lot of money out there for grants if we would produce some people getting into those grants and getting those grants to get us some money. So, yeah, I'm glad you're working on it. So that's good.
And I have to piggyback off Tommy. I appreciate you for me calling you, getting things done for the city and events going on and publicizing and doing the marketing part. But I did not know until I seen it on the agenda that you also had an additional title. So whatever I can do as the alderman to help or assist or network, you feel free to give me a call because I want this kind of grants and stuff, especially
Right.
throughout the whole city of Vidalia. But I know certain parts need it more than others.
Right.
So we appreciate you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, anybody else? All right, we are to number 5, Board of, pardon?
I make a motion we approve.
Well, that's
Second.
item 5, though. Isn't that item 5? That's okay.
Yeah, that's.
Item 5 is the board discussion and vote on resolution authorizing submittal of the year 2022-23 Louisiana Community Development Block Grant application and enter into agreements associated with administration and engineering services and approving resolutions adopting citizen participation plan and procurement policy associated with this grant application. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion made
Second.
by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman Gardner. All in favor, say aye. Okay, I have Brian Hammett with us tonight with Brian Hammett Associates. He has Michelle Edwards, who has been instrumental in handling a lot of the applications to all the respective government funds to keep us with all these grants and monies that we do get. And also Keith Captapon, who is his lead engineer, who handles a lot of our engineering things. And what they want to do is just do a brief rundown on where we're at on a lot of our projects, everywhere from the SLU project to street to sewer and on. And so if I could get somebody to kill all those lights but these two middle ones, we're going to have a presentation up here so you can see it. Okay, that's, can y'all see that okay? Okay, Brian, you gonna start off?
I'm going to, thank you for the introduction. And we also have Hayden Castles.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hayden, I apologize.
He's our construction manager. But we have a professional services firm, and we feel blessed and thankful to be able to provide the city of Vidalia, be a part of the City on the Move, and provide them with professional services in engineering, design, construction management, and land surveying. And Keith and Michelle, they're the ones who really do all the work. So I'm going to turn it over to them for about a 12, 13-minute presentation. We'll go through and highlight the projects, and at the end, I'll get back up and recap. And if there's any questions, we can work our way through them at the end. So, Keith.
Thank you. I'm going to play a little catch up with y'all first, and then we'll do some projects that have been completed, do some projects that are under construction, and then do some that are some applications. So we're going to start off with this, with these three. I have 3 projects noted here on this slide. The first one is Port Road. These are all completed. These are completed. Port Road from the top of the levee to the port facility. The contractor was Womack & Sons Construction Group. The total project was about $2.56 million. The funding was facility planning and control, which is capital outlay, commonly known as capital outlay, DOTD, DRA, which is Delta Regional Authority, and the Town of Vidalia's match. That project was completed in 2014. So the water line to the port was something when we ran a water line from Highway 131 all the way to the port facility. Womack & Sons was also the contractor on that project. Total project was about $273,000. The funding agency was capital outlay, and the Town of Vidalia had a match in that as well. The project was completed in 2017. We also ran electricity to the port. Some of it was overhead, some of it was underground. We ran overhead to the levee berm, and it was underground from the levee down to the river. The contractor was Line Tech Services. The project was almost $231,000. Funding was capital outlay, and the Town of Vidalia had their match as well in this one. That was finished in February of 2018. On the next slide, this is the project that we ran the gas line to Syra. We ran a 6-inch gas line from Vidalia's purchase point down 131 up Big Lane Road to Syra, and then we also ran it down to the port where we were going that far. Womack & Sons Construction Group was the contractor. Total project was $528,000. Funding entities in this one was Facility Planning and Control, or capital outlay, Delta Regional Authority, DRA, and the Town of Vidalia also had to match in this one as well. This was completed in 2019. The roadway improvement project was funded completely by the Town of Vidalia road tax funds. The contractor was W.E. Blaine and Sons. Total project was $1,769,000. We finished this early this year. We had a little FEMA money that I'll bring up again in a later slide that actually went towards this project, almost $73,000 in FEMA funds went to help to support the cost of this project from seepage water from the 2019 flood. Which brings us to from the efforts that Vidalia and we did towards the flood. This is improvements, not improvements, but expenses that Vidalia had due to the flooding, and after the flooding, they received $215,839 from FEMA for all the efforts that they had in repairing the Vidalia Canal, the road repairs I mentioned, some sewer repairs, things of that nature. So we did get a little bit of money from them for that to help out things a little bit. The project's in progress. This is the Vidalia Industrial Park site certification. What we're doing here is working with LED to get Louisiana Economic Development to get the Vidalia Industrial Park certified. A certified site means the site is development ready and has substantial due diligence performed on the site. So when a firm sees a site on the LED website, whether in the country or out of the country, they'll see the site, they'll know they have water, they know they have sewer, they know they have so many acres, they know how close the roads are, they know where the railroad is, that type of thing. This project is $662,300. 75% of that is funded through LED. The Town of Vidalia is picking up the 25% match. What we did, some of the documentation we did on this project and others was soil borings, tidal research, extensive tidal research, wetland delineation, phase 1 environmental, infrastructure at or near the site, existing infrastructure at or near the site, transportation modes to and from the site, whether it be airport, road, railroad. As I mentioned, roads, along with the roads we're looking at that are near the site here, we're also seeking some funding to fix the Big Lane Road, which of course parallels Industrial Park. We have with us, I believe, we don't have it? Okay, well, we've done one of these for Columbia Port, and it's a pretty big document. It's probably a 3-inch thick notebook of items in there that when a firm comes to look at the site, they'll have almost all the information they need to know what they're getting into when they come. Okay, wastewater improvements. This is one that's just been completed. Mitchell Contracting was the contractor. For the total project was $347,837, 100% funded by the town of Vidalia. We did have about $40,000 worth of funds from FEMA that we used to fix a point repair in front of the elementary school and the Sandbar lift station. The rest of these locations were bad spots that actually the seepage water helped or made worse. Actually, they didn't help it, they made it worse. And the town advised them which one of these to fix, and these are some of the worst ones. The electrical upgrades is one that was mentioned earlier that I heard Deborah talk about it. It's upgrading the substation at Logan Sewell Drive across from Vidalia Denham. It's constructing a new substation at Vidalia Industrial Park, and it's constructing a new transmission line that actually parallels the hydroelectric line. This is about a $7 million project. What we've done to date is bought all the equipment for everything but the transmission line, which has really helped things out because we beat the pandemic prices, we beat the pandemic shipping delays, so that was really a good move that the town made there. The station that was just completed is the one across from Vidalia Denham, and it's fixing to go online. We substantiated it last week. It's almost complete. There's work to do on the Vidalia Industrial Park station, and there's the transmission line. We're working with right of way and final design on that part.
Keith, do you think it'd be safe to say by us being timely and getting that done before the pandemic that we literally saved millions of dollars?
Oh, absolutely.
Millions of dollars, and was able to get the materials before the pre-pandemic hit. So the Lord blessed us there to get this project done and going before the pandemic hit. So it literally saved us, made it doable to something that might have not been able to do if we waited. So.
That's correct, right. And as everybody sees, I mean, prices are going up, there's no doubt. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Okay, that's all I've got. That's all. Drainage improvements. This is something we're tasked with right now, and we're working on this now. There's several I'm going to say hotspot areas of concern that the road department has asked us to look at, and the mayor's asked us to look at. We have the East Cross Drain at Concordia Drive Extension, the West Cross Drain at Concordia Drive Extension. There's an area around Lillian, Viking Street, and Stadium Drive. That's the troublesome spot. There's a big cross drain under Murray Drive by the high school. That's a troublesome spot. And there's also the drainage ditch along Vidalia Drive that's a troublesome spot that we're also looking at. There's some subsurface along North Oak and Stampley. We'll come back to that in a little bit. That's also something that's got to be addressed. Now we'll move on to applications in progress. This should help. A couple of these are pretty nice projects, I believe. This is a FEMA BRIC project. BRIC stands for Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities. This is a 75-25 grant with FEMA. My estimate is $4.38 million. That's pre-pandemic estimate now, so that may change before it's all over with. What it involves is upgrading the Azalea Street lift station, which takes most of the sewer from the town, upgrading the sewer pump station at the pond, installing a new sister station to the Azalea Street lift station, so there'll be 2 stations there, installing a force main in between the Azalea Street station and the pond, and installing another force main between the pond going to the river. This is going to help all your sewage issues. When the river's been up, this should mitigate a lot of those situations that have happened when there's high water.
Ms. Rose, and I know in District 1, in your district, I know when the river's up, or we have a high range, that some residents there have issues with their sewer. This is going to help alleviate that, because we're treating, instead of sewage, just rainwater, stormwater, seepage water, relief well waters in our sewer system, and this is going to help us increase our capacity where we can handle that, and so we can keep everybody's, because there has been some issues when high water or rain that does that. So this is a really good project for our town.
This drain down here, this new forest drain down here, is that what you're talking about with Rose's district? That's down there towards hers?
No, that's strictly an affluent line leaving our pond. See, we don't have enough.
That's pushing it out to the river?
That's pushing it to the river. That's to get rid of it out of
That's not helping her, it's just helping.
Yes, no, it is.
It's getting rid, it's helping everybody, basically.
Yes, sir, it's helping the whole thing. Everything pretty much runs through that Azalea Station. There's not much that doesn't go that way.
But that helps get it out.
Yes, sir. That helps get it all out from the pond. The slough pump station is another project we're looking at. It will be funded by the DOTD statewide flood control program if it gets funded. The project involves the design and construction of a pump station to help alleviate flooding in the slough area. We've received a pre-approved application from DOTD, and our complete application is due in August. So we're working on that application now to get that in. My estimate is $1.2 million, but that's pre-pandemic also. It is, again, it's 90% DOTD funded, 10% Vidalia match. The last item I have is the application that really goes back to what Hannah was talking about. This is the Louisiana Community Development Block Grant Program. What we're going to do in here is apply for sewer lining within the Orchard or Gillespie Heights area. Several streets in there have infiltration, bad infiltration. Ricky's going to get us some video to send in with the application, which I think would be pretty good. As Hannah said, the maximum application amount is $1.2 million. We'll fall wherever we fall. It depends on how much is needed up in there, but it could be as much as $1 million. It could be as much as $1.2 million. So. That's a brief list of what we got.
Did we miss the drainage between Stampley and Oak Street?
No, we were going to come.
No, we got to come back to that.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I just kind of skimmed over.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think Brian's going to fill in on that.
Okay.
That's, thank you, Keith, as always. The one takeaway we do need from the council and working with the mayor, the part of the drainage, that subsurface drainage in the area that's being highlighted right now, we were tasked with replacing the lower 650 feet of it, and we were going to clean out the upper 1,085 feet that's going from Concordia to Milliken. And the town tried to clean it out with their equipment. It's 36-inch corrugated metal pipe, the arch pipe, and it's just like 2/3 of the way just filled with silt and debris, and the town was not able to get it cleaned out. So one of the we can get a contractor who has different equipment to be able to clean it out. And I broached the mayor on the subject. We got an estimated cost of about $27,000 to clean that 1,085 feet of line. I need some direction whether we want to go ahead and get that cleaning and the inspection of it done, or which I think is going to show that it needs replacing. That pipe is metal. It's metal pipe. It's been in the ground for 50 or 60 years. I'm fairly certain that when we get it cleaned out, it's not even going to have a bottom in it to it's going to be rusted. But I don't know that for sure. The estimated replacement cost for that 1,085-foot section is about $180,000. And I didn't know, I'm just trying to get a feel whether we want to spend the 27 to make sure it needs replacing or just to go ahead and replace it. And
Is there any way you can look at it, to get down there to look at a portion of it to see what it looks like before we make that decision?
That's what's going to cost $27,000.
We
Just to
tried.
look at that, take it all out, you got to see it all, or could you get a portion of it?
Well, we could just do a section of it, I
That's what I'm saying.
suppose.
I mean, we could get to it, right, Lee? We could get to a section and see what it looks like in that section.
The sections that we've looked at, it has no bottom in it, so.
That's what I'm saying. So you've already looked at
The
it.
same culvert, the opposite having the bottom is.
Like I said, odds are.
If you go walk that out right now, there are craters literally, and this is behind where the tennis courts are, all the way down along the side. There are craters where we're about to lose some gas lines, that whole line, and when we walked that out, when I first met with Brian on this, we walked that out on up on the part between Concordia Avenue and Alabama. There was actually, in some of those drains, you could smell sewer. You could actually smell sewer in some of those vents back there. So I would say that I would rather us go in and redo that whole line and try to identify those sewers that are openly running into a storm drain that we are having, that we know is there.
And he's already looked at it, I would say
Sure,
the same thing.
we've been through it several times. In an attempt to get it cleaned out, we've seen a little portion of it, and
Most of it looks bad.
right. It's just old. It's way past its lifetime.
It would be worth the investment, I think, to fix it and fix it right, and it'll be there for another 50 years, I think. That's my opinion, and whatever the council wants to do. And that's why I asked Brian to put it on there, because, it's bad shape.
And again, we've been in business here with this group for almost 37 years right here in Concordia Parish, and we're thankful to have Vidalia as a client, and we enjoy working with the City on the Move. It's y'all are strides ahead of most of the Delta, so it's
We appreciate
pleasure
that. Did anybody else have a different opinion? Alderman Probst said he was all in favor of us replacing it. Now, if there's places we can look at that you think you can, I think we would make that call, but I really think that if we went ahead and made it a project to bring up the whole line and do the point repairs on those sewers, we do have the camera that Rick and them got that can shoot those sewage, but as far as getting through that culvert, they can't get that camera through the culvert. It's so rusted and just it's gone, basically. So does anybody have a different opinion or take on it on the council? Y'all okay with it? Okay. Well, we've got
that was the takeaway we needed for today. And we are working on trying to find some funding for the DA Big Lane upgrade to the DA Big Lane Road, and also a permanent solution to the riverfront protection. And as the federal government works in their slow motion way, I'm optimistic that there's going to be some sort of infrastructure program that the city of Vidalia will be able to take advantage of on a federal level, especially having the funds. If you saw in Keith's presentation, a lot of the work we do is 75% state or federal, 90% state or federal in the town. Puts in the remaining part as a match. So, and I'm suspecting that the federal infrastructure program will be somewhat along the same line. So it's
yeah.
You spend $1 and get 4. So that's a pretty good deal.
I do want to say that, Brian, how many years were you a representative, state representative? How many years?
I actually served for 14 and a half years, and then I served as Secretary of Wildlife and Fisheries for a year and a half.
Okay.
So 16 years of public service, and I was going to thank y'all for y'all's public service, because it's not always fun.
Well, I was going to just let also Heather will tell you, and this is Heather. This is her last meeting, I think, with us, and it's going to be. This is kind of bittersweet. If I'm happy for you, you're going to do. But Heather will tell you, and anybody else, that Bryant's been very instrumental. If we needed some help, he knows everybody in Baton Rouge by first name basis. Probably hunts with most of them, or
Try to.
try to anyway. But he's been instrumental in getting us money for years from Baton Rouge, and we appreciate that. So I just want to say
I got a
that.
question on that.
I have a
on
question
our
after you.
industrial. Well, I called it a while ago, Brian. He said that we had upgraded everything. Are we site ready now? Are we not? Are we still working on it?
We're still working
How
on
much
it.
we
We're
got
probably
to
about
go?
60.
Basically, my question is, how far are we and what we've got left to get site ready?
We're about 60% through with putting it together, right? And it's just a tedious task to get it like LED wants it. And
Are there still grants out there again to get more money to be able to help us get that 40% finished?
Oh, no, the total amount was the 62,000 in LED. Louisiana Economic Development is paying 75% of that. That's the total cost.
Okay, so y'all are just working on it now.
Right.
It's done, you just got to finish it.
Right,
Okay.
putting it together. We've gotten the soil borings and those sorts. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense, but like he said, we did this for the Port of Columbia, and they got on the LED site, and they just recently had a private sector company come in and take up the whole.
What is your projected time frame?
Now I'm going to step back and let Michelle and Keith talk about that.
Probably August.
August? Because that's important. I mean, you know.
Absolutely. And Heather was.
Heather always said that that's important as far as drawing somebody to you, is have a site ready.
And the LED's been real good to work with. They've been very helpful. Heather, as always, helps us push those things through. So some fun stuff.
I certainly support on Oak Street the replacement, that $180,000 to replace that little area that needs to be done. But you mentioned about the slough area.
Mm-hmm.
What's your total ideas of fixing that area, which is along Alabama, Laurel, Walnut, Magnolia, all the way to Oak Street? What's the, once you receive that $1.2 million, which the city approved it on last year, but we're going to use grant money now, whatever, to pay for this from DOTD. Because I have a lot of constituents in here that are in District 2. Could you please explain to them what's your thought process on fixing that issue?
Well, right now in the preliminary design phase, we're looking at the creating a reservoir at the Vidalia, where the Vidalia Canal catches all that water, but the slough is lower than the canal, and that's the impediment to draining it. So we're talking about widening the canal and creating a little reservoir, and then putting in a dam, if you will, and a lift station, a pump station that will pump it out of the slough over the. And I'm not talking about like a big levee. I'm talking, it may only be 2 or 3 feet tall, but pumping that water over the levee and not letting the Vidalia Canal back into the slough. So that's the general concept that we're looking at right now.
And I hope that helped a lot of the constituents.
Oh, I think it will. And this drainage project that we're talking about doing will help.
It's going to alleviate as well.
Right.
Okay, my second question, I imagine, is to the mayor. I thought when we met last month at the budget meeting, we said that the application was in process and would by the end of June.
I thought it was, but they just.
He just said August, so.
Yeah, so it'll be August.
So it's changed. It's went from June to August.
I guess it was what I saw was June, but I mean, they stay on top of that. They're the ones made the application, but they're saying it's August.
You're talking about the industrial park certification?
No, the
slough project.
Slough. Yes.
The DOTD.
It's August. The final application is due in August.
Okay.
I thought. What's that now?
We should hear from the FEMA people for the brick application in June.
Okay, maybe I got that confused with that one.
Right.
Okay, maybe I did. That's my bad.
And that's if we're able to get that funded, and it all looks very promising right now. Keith and Michelle and Heather been working with the FEMA folks very closely, and that's a big lick for.
Well, I did keep a close eye on the river this year, and then y'all noticed we didn't have the high river that we've been having, and we did not have the slough problems that we've had in the past. Rivers, I didn't see very much water standing there, except after a rain. We've had a lot of that. So, but you know, this will keep when you have. It'll be pumping seepage water, relief well water, anything else, rainwater. That's what it'll keep it pumped down dry. So, anyway. All right.
Again, we thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and any questions any of you have at any time, just call our office, and we'll get right on it.
Well, we sure appreciate that, and thank y'all. We're gonna put the lights on you. Y'all are welcome to stay or leave, whatever you want to do. But I bet y'all want to go. So thank y'all. I see people standing in the back. If y'all want to come to the front, there's 4 chairs we have available. If anybody wants to come. So I was just going to offer that if they wanted to. But okay, next thing we have is board discussion and vote on fixing the amount to be maintained in the Hydro Reserve Fund in accordance with ordinance number 588. And currently we have $2.3 million in our reserve fund, which is over the requirement that's by 588. If you look at the ordinance, it requires us to have $1.98 million in it. And a few years ago, when we put 2.3 in it, the council, which I think wisely, we kept more in it just in case, just for some cushion. So I would like to recommend that we leave it at 2.3, and if anybody wants to change that, we can. But I'll entertain a motion. We do have to set this by a vote.
Make a motion, we leave it 2.3.
Motion made by Alderman Probst. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we have discussion on setting dates for 2 public hearings to receive public input on proposed projects and possible alternative uses of surplus hydro funds. I've been talking to a lot of the civic organizations, beautification committees here, the garden clubs here. They have some wonderful ideas on some things, projects up and down the Carter Street and also around prominent places in town of some really, really nice projects, even maybe increasing the Christmas experience. I've encouraged them to start attending meetings and show up for these public meetings to ask for funds to help do those things. And it's also available for any residents if they want to show up and have input in these meetings. We're going to be meeting twice, and we'll be discussing a variety of projects. The aldermen can put together a list themselves of things they would like to see done. I would certainly entertain lists from you of some projects you'd like to see done. So I would like to know from the council if they would want to set a date when they want to start setting those public hearings, and we could.
As far as the old list, we had a list and had a list and had a list, so we still got the old list.
Well, there's an old list. So the only things that we approved off that list were was the slough and the playground.
The people that had already turned in, that's what I want to make plain. Those people that already turned in their suggestion to the old list, do they need to
Yes, I would say yes.
Suggestion.
Because there's no sense in having, just.
So we need to make that plain that list is list is beginning.
Those are monies we spent for that particular time, right. and who knows, those things may have changed by now, and some people I think might not even be here now that made some of those suggestions.
But we do need to make it plain that they don't continue to roll over.
Right. It's just whatever we approve that year,
every year.
We start a clean slate the next year, because as that money increases, there might be a bigger need that would fit a bigger group of people in town.
So however we get that message out to the people, I'd like to put.
We'll start. Well, when y'all, I'm asking y'all for input on when you want to have those hearings. You want to do it in July, August, September? When y'all want to have those meetings, and we'll set them up.
Let's say August.
All right, here August.
Fine with me.
Y'all want to have those on a Tuesday or Thursday night?
Fine with me.
And we'll look at the dates and what kind of time y'all want to do.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Not a.m. but p.
It could work 6 o'clock a.m.
All right, we'll look at the dates and see what's going on the town calendar, and we'll set some dates. We'll be putting it on Facebook and our webpage and going forward with that. So we'll get those dates out to the people and to the aldermen. The next thing we have is, we voted on that. Yeah, we don't need to take a vote on that. Board discussion and vote on approval of replacement hire for Vidalia Police Department, and this is Danielle Jefferson to part-time dispatcher. Who's here tonight with it? There's Frankie. Hey, Frankie. All right.
What it is, Mayor, Danielle's not a new hire. He was a full-time employee, quit. They got another part-time job. I moved one of my dispatchers as part-time, full-time, and then Danielle came back as part-time. She is my tack officer.
Okay.
And just, it's not, like I said, it's not a new hire, it's just, I reversed the two employees.
Okay.
So my question is, did we even need to, we still had to vote for the change of she was still employed?
She wasn't with us. This was a new hire. This is new hires part-time, yes.
Because she was the head dispatcher at one time, right?
She's the TAC.
Okay.
Terminal Agency Coordinator.
Right.
Which is a very important position.
You glad to have her back, aren't you, Frank?
Sir?
You're glad to have her back, aren't you?
I'm glad to get her back because it's supposed to be me.
Could you handle it?
Can I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Alderman
Second.
Betts. Second by Alderman Gardner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we have the public hearing on an ordinance approving the mayor's appointment of a clerk and to fix the compensation of the clerk of the town of Vidalia, Louisiana. And I'm going to have a motion for us to enter the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Alderman Gardner. I hear a second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Betts. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're now in a public hearing, so anybody in the public who wants to comment, our clerk select is Ms. Pi Arab Wilson, and I want to call her Brown, but her mother Sylvia is here tonight. See, Sylvia and her grandmother, Miss Margaret Mays, and she's welcomed them here tonight. So, any questions from the public? Okay. Do I hear a motion we come out of exit public hearing?
Make a
I so
motion.
moved.
Ooh, that was, I think Alderman Probst beat you to the punch, but I'm going to let you do the second.
Second.
Alderman Denby has a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we've now exited the public hearing. Now, number 11 on the agenda is the board discussion and vote on an ordinance approving the mayor's appointment of a clerk and to fix the compensation of the clerk of the town of Vidalia. So,
Make a motion.
motion made by Alderman Betts to approve this ordinance.
Second.
A second by Alderman Denby. Okay, you want to do roll call?
Okay, so does that Jay LaShawn started off with as assistant clerk for the town of Vidalia. So that's what I'm not voting to approve. I'm voting to approve her title, but not her pay. Because if he can start as assistant making $55,000 and she's going to be the clerk. And I know some people say, well, do you have a college degree? Well, you can work equivalent in jobs for years and a degree can be equivalent just to a degree.
Thoughts? We talked as a staff at length and with Pi, and she has a very bright future with our town, and I've told her that, and we're very excited that she is getting this position. When we talked about salary, the first thing we talked about, I think all of us have heard, your salary is commensurate on your experience or education or work experience. When Jay first came in, before he had a job, and that was something that when I was trying to put together our finance team to run the town, which y'all know how it's turned out, we've hit a home run on our budget and finances. We really have. Jay had how many years of banking experience in finance education? How many? 22 years of banking and finance, and he was an experience that I didn't even know was available. And when I first hired him, that's what it took me to get him. And I think that was a good bargain for him with the experience that he had. And I'm explaining this, and I'm being honest, this is from my heart. Okay, so, Vicki Burns, bless her soul, she's dead and gone now, God rest her soul. Her salary was $75,000 as clerk. She made $75,000, so just because she made that, when Jay came on board, a lot of people, and then he did assumed the full position of being clerk, you know, I didn't ask for $75,000 just because she made that. He worked his way up to what he's making now, and he's got experience. He's went through all the schools, which we've taught with Pine. She started all this education, and she's very young, and we're excited that she's going to have a long future here. She will get to enjoy, we hope, cost of living raises that the council will give her. As she gets older, she will be doing very well.
Well, I have to beg to differ because Jay LaShaw's salary at this point, I don't know if everybody knows, his salary is $65,000.
Yeah, that's right.
So this would be saving still the city. If we don't pay her the $65,000 that he's already making, she would still be taking a $10,000 decrease in her salary. So I think $55,000 is sufficient for the work and the load. If I don't know if she want to get up and speak pertaining to what all she do, I don't even think she has an assistant. And Jay was providing an assistant. So I feel like fair, equal for all people. I think she deserves $55,000 at least, because that is what he started off, and not comparing apples to oranges, but that's what he started off as an assistant. And when you're dealing with money, you want to pay people for what they're worth and all that they do. And part of my reasoning for being in this position is to fight to make sure that every citizen, whether they're white, they're black, they're brown, they're yellow, they're male, or they're female. And I know we have a new vice president right now of the United States, and part of her initiative is to make sure that women are treated and are paid just as equal as men and can do the job just like they can. And I support that, and I'm a male, but I feel like asking for $55,000 is not a slap to the city at all, because you have other department heads who she sees their salaries and she'll be making way less than. And yes, Vicky was at 75, Jay first came in at 55, and we bumped him within 2 years, we bumped him up 10,000. So to put her at 55,000 would not kill us at all. So equal and fair.
Well, I just want, is any other, look, we had to have a starting point, okay, and I was describing it. I agree with all this, and if the council wants to approve that, I have no problem with that.
I make the motion that it's changed from 49,000 to 55,000.
Okay.
Call for a vote.
Motion made.
I second it.
Second motion by me. Okay. Hey, that's great.
You deserve to be paid just as equal and fair as any other man or woman that's here. Because I call you personally, diligently all the time, and you get things done for me. I want to see not just you, but everyone. Deborah Moak, I call you all the time, and if you're needing a raise to pay you for doing the job, we need to pay you.
Alderman Garner, okay, enough grandstanding here. I agree with you.
Okay, it's not about just you agreeing, it's about what we're doing for the constituents of our town.
You're trying to blow this way out.
No,
look,
I'm not blowing it out.
I am completely
Okay, well, just support the effort and let's move forward.
I haven't argued with you about that.
We haven't talked in a whole year, so you haven't had the opportunity.
That's your fault. That's your fault.
That's not my fault, because
Yes,
I'm
it is.
alderman, and you can call me in the office to talk just like everybody else.
You don't want to go
You
there.
went there. I did not. You went there.
Order. You're out of order.
Order to you.
You're out of order.
You're out of order, because I think I was elaborating first.
Yeah, that's next. Okay, you're out of order. Alderman Probst is called for a vote.
Wait.
Okay.
You got two issues here. You got to vote. He had a motion, right?
Did he make it a motion?
And it was a second.
Wait, council, I'm going to defer to council. Council?
We need to vote on that.
Council?
Vance made a motion, second by Alderman McGinty, to approve the order.
Or 49,000.
You got to vote on that first.
You got to vote on
Okay.
That's right.
So that's
what we
point of
need to
order.
vote on.
So we'll,
That's what I'm saying.
Don't vote on that.
So
Okay.
are we voting on the 49,000 or the
The
55,000?
motion he made was this. He made a motion to increase her salary to 55,000. There, I'm calling for a vote. He had
Okay.
a motion on the floor.
I will offer, does Alderman Betts want to amend his motion?
No.
You don't? Okay.
So the first motion was offered by Alderman Betts and seconded by Alderman McGinty to approve the ordinance as presented.
No, my vote was to approve the raise of 55,000. That's what my vote was.
John, did you make a motion?
And so if that wasn't what it was about, then
I didn't think he.
No, just for, Alderman Betts made a motion, and Ms. Demme, you second, we can go and vote on it. Y'all can turn it down, and you can bring it back up and make the change to it.
Okay.
John?
She can rescind her vote just as well as you asked him to
Well, she can rescind her motion, I would
Yes.
assume that,
What was
but
your motion, John?
My motion was to accept this ordinance.
And before Robert, right?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I thought it was.
And there
Yeah.
was a
That's-
motion and a second.
and you do have to.
So we can't supersede the motion
So
Pardon?
we have to vote on this motion first.
first.
Okay.
So on
No
this.
matter what it
on
consists
this-
of, that's what we had to vote on. That's why I call for a vote. We can argue and talk all
Yeah.
this, but that's
Okay,
got to be
also
I
voted.
think
on
everybody's,
this-
all we got to do is go through the
She's giving
formality of voting.
clarification.
Yeah, all we got to do is go through the formality of voting.
Okay, on the motion that I made, is that for accepting the 49,000?
Yeah, so that is, yes, ma'am, but you can vote no, and somebody else can make a motion to change, to amend that ordinance to reflect a salary of 55, and I have no problem with
Go through
that.
the ordinance
You can take your second back as well. If you don't want to vote in favor
But the
of his
second's been made,
motion.
you can't do that, Robert.
Just-
It's the second's been made. The vote's,
Mayor Kraft,
yeah.
if it goes as to a vote, it will be an ordinance that will pass, if it passes,
No,
right?
if y'all vote no to the
But
ordinance,
if we
to
vote
this motion,
yes, it will be an ordinance.
it will be an
Correct.
ordinance,
And then it
correct?
has to go through the ordinance process to change.
No,
doesn't it?
no, you can make a motion to amend what's presented tonight to reflect 55,000. And I have no problem with that, but motion been made, to just vote no. If you want to do that, vote no, and then make a motion, Alderman Gardner, make a motion
How can
to,
you do that if you got to change the ordinance?
you're not changing what you can
But you already
amend,
changed it from
you can
49 to
amend.
55.
you can
Right, that's
amend
why
the
she can
amount.
rescind her vote.
You can amend the amount.
Once an ordinance, a legal, tell me.
Counsel, go ahead.
You're allowed to amend the
I
ordinance.
mean, can you do that?
It's like on the budget, we have the budget, somebody moves to approve it, second it, and you talk about it, and you amend the budget
Okay,
before you take the final vote.
okay, so we can do that. I just want to be sure we can do it tonight, since you have to go through an ordinance process. Once it's established as an ordinance, you, just like any of these code violations and everything else, you have to go in and do what? So in other words, you don't have to wait on the ordinance to be changed to change those code violations, right?
Not just portions of it.
Portions of it, huh? Like, if I wanted to put a fine in place, this is for, talking about ordinances, if I wanted to put a fine in place, does that change anything? Huh?
There's a budget for street, for sidewalk repairs and things.
Uh-huh.
We have to go back through the whole budget process to amend it, advertise it and all that.
Okay, what about an ordinance process if it's a code thing? Just for instance, we just say it was, an ordinance was voted on to accept it. That made it an ordinance, okay? Then you're gonna go right back and change that ordinance without going through the ordinance.
I understand.
So if I decide I wanted to put a fine in place instead of a letter of 12 weeks to these people that are not cutting their grass or doing things, do I have to wait and put that through the
That-
ordinance process?
The
to
first
change
part of that
everything?
ordinance process is the introduction of that ordinance that amends it. That's where you would put the new
That's what I'm
fine
saying.
in.
So do
That's-
we not have to take this same thing back to the introduction?
But under the Larson Act, when the council takes up the vote on an ordinance that has already been introduced, they can then
At that
amend that
point.
ordinance at that point.
Okay.
Once it's
That's what
passed.
I wanted to get square.
But once it's passed, and you wanted to add or amend that ordinance, you'd
Then
have
you
to
gotta go
introduce
through
it and go back through the
That's what I want to
process.
be sure of. Okay. That answered my question. Okay.
Can I just rescind my vote because, I mean, my second, because I was thinking that I was voting on the 55.
Council go, I mean,
You can't rescind the second.
Okay,
but
well,
what Ms. Rose?
I vote against it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if you want to do different, just vote against John's motion.
Okay.
And then somebody can make it, a motion to amend the ordinance as presented tonight to reflect the amount that you want and vote on it. And it's fine. Hey, I've got no problem with it. Okay? So let's have a roll call on the vote and motion to accept the, as it is. And again, a no vote means that you can make a motion after this and amend that amount. So, okay.
Motion offered by Alderman Betts and seconded by Alderwoman Denby is to approve an ordinance approving the mayor's appointment of a clerk and to fix the compensation of the clerk of the town of Vidalia, Louisiana as presented. Alderman Betts.
For.
Alderwoman Denby.
Against.
Alderman Gardner.
Against.
Alderman Probst. Alderman Smith.
For.
Mayor, let the record show the vote on the motions as follow. The yeas are 3, the nays are 2. The motion passes.
Okay. All right. The next thing we got is board discussion and vote on appointment of a mayor pro temp for the town of Vidalia, Louisiana.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we make John Betts a mayor pro tem.
Okay. Motion made by Alderman Smith.
I'd like to make a motion that we nominate Robert Gardner.
Well, we got a motion on the floor first by Alderman Smith. Is there a second on that motion? Is there a motion on the second? No motion? No second? Second? Second by Alderman Betts.
How come you pushed that so long?
Right,
Huh?
right.
No.
If the second fail, yeah,
We can't
if the
push it.
second
All right,
fail,
there's been a motion made.
There was no second.
There's
Right.
been a
Right.
motion
There was
made.
no second.
There's been a motion made.
Second.
totally illegal.
Okay, y'all
Totally
need to get out of
illegal.
order.
I'm not out of order. How come there
Right.
was no, how come you asked it 3 times to say it for a
Right.
second?
There does not have to be a immediate.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Go ahead on with whatever y'all doing, okay?
We're not doing anything.
I'm doing, okay.
No, listen.
We don't ever do that, Mayor
Listen,
Kraft.
well,
We don't say, oh, anybody got a second?
Alderman Probst,
You got a
you're out
second?
of order.
I'm out of, oh,
Please
you're right, I'm
vote.
out of
Yeah,
order. I don't like
well,
that.
and then
okay?
I'm gonna put you out till you can get back in order, and I will
might
do
get
it.
out. Though, just
I
go
will
ahead
have
on,
you
I said,
removed
go
if you
ahead
can't.
on.
Okay, I will have, okay. A motion's made for Alderman Betts to be the mayor pro tem.
please don't vote for him.
Second was made, motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Betts. Now, we'll have a vote. So, roll call vote.
Motion offered by Alderman Smith and seconded by Alderman Betts is to name Alderman Betts as mayor pro tem for the town of Vidalia, Louisiana. Alderman Betts.
For.
Alderwoman Denby.
Against?
Alderman Gardner.
Against.
Alderman Probst.
Against.
Alderman Smith.
For.
Okay.
Mayor, let the record show the vote on the motions as
Transparency.
follow. The yeas are 2, the nays are 3. The motion fails.
Okay. All right, next thing we
I'd
have.
like to make a motion that we appoint Robert Gardner as
Okay,
mayor
I'm
pro
sorry.
tem.
Motion made by Alderman Gardner, by Alderman Probst for
And he
Robert Gardner.
maintain his position as
Is there a
mayor pro
second?
tem.
I'll
Second.
wait as long as it
I'll
takes.
second it.
Okay. All right, roll call vote.
Motion offered by Alderman Probst, seconded by Alderman Gardner, is to name Alderman Gardner as mayor pro tem for the town of Vidalia, Louisiana. Alderman Betts.
Against.
Alderwoman Denby.
For?
Alderman Gardner.
For.
Alderman Probst.
Or,
Yeah.
Alderman Smith.
Against.
Mayor, let the record show the vote on the motions as follow. The yeas are 3, the nays are 2. The motion passes.
Okay. All right, number 13 on our agenda is report of a request for a proposal for advanced metering infrastructure system for water, gas, and electric utilities. This is basically, can I have order? Can I have quiet, please? Can I have quiet, please? Okay, we're going to be making a request for a proposal for advanced metering infrastructure system for water, gas, and electric utilities. This is just a request for proposal where we are going to be looking at, we're going to have electronic data gathering of meter information on your water, gas, and sewer. One of the biggest problems we have with meters is being able to read them. People have lock gates, dogs, we have to do rereads, and it's really an inconvenience on these. These meters are more accurate. As these older meters get older, they are not as accurate, and sometimes many of you have to experience that. We have them rechecks. This will eliminate a lot of the rechecks, and so this is just a request for proposal. It's not obligating any funds, but this is just, I wanted to discuss that. I will be bringing up a resolution for us to request this in a future meeting. If any of the aldermen do want to talk to me about this, I'll be glad to discuss this with them. So, that being said, that's all I have, and do I hear a motion we adjourn?
I make that motion.
Motion made by Probst, second by Gardner. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we stand adjourned.